Slightly fast talkers are perceived as more credible. There is research that suggests that people who talk just a touch quicker than typical are perceived as more capable, even more persuasive. And yet, one of the most common pieces of feedback that people get on their communication is to slow down. So which is it? Well, it's both and it's neither, and my bottom line is who cares? Because rate of speech is part of the musicality of language. It's about rhythm. And just like in music, there is no right or wrong rhythm to speech. So today we're going to focus on the art of rhythm in speaking. And we're going to do that by listening to a conversation between two prominent figures who have very different rhythms, President Obama and Malcolm Gladwell. Welcome to Read the Room. I'm Mary Falkenstern. Let's begin. You and I could listen to the same speaker and have completely different perceptions about them. But when it comes to rhythm, it's trackable. We can read it almost like sheet music. We'll start by looking at the most obvious element, which is speed. So I want you to listen to the beginning of this conversation between President Obama and Malcolm Gladwell. It's part of a series they produced called How Reconstruction Still Defines America. Take a listen and notice, who do you think is talking faster?
But Reconstruction is a slightly, it's not a tentative step. It is one step forward and then one
a really big step back.
Several steps back. The people don't talk about Reconstruction is the great forgotten era in American history, and I'm still puzzled as to why.
Well, I don't think it's that puzzling. The mythology of America about us breaking away from the crown, declaring our independence, all men are created equal, yeoman farmers, Walt Whitman. There's a whole narrative about who we are as Americans.
You'd probably say that Malcolm Gladwell is speaking more quickly, and you'd be partially right. One of the ways we measure rate of speech is words per minute. On average, across this conversation, Gladwell is speaking at 186 words per minute. Obama is at 114 words per minute. Typical range is roughly 120 to 160 words per minute. So Gladwell is above, he's faster than the normal range, and Obama's slightly slower. So they're very different speakers. But here's the thing about words per minute. It does give an accurate sense of somebody's overall pace. I don't think anybody would argue that Obama sounds slower than Malcolm Gladwell. The thing that is lacking specificity, though, is just because his overall impression is slower, does it mean he's actually speaking more slowly? Not necessarily, because words per minute includes pausing. Who was pausing more? Clearly, Obama has more and longer pauses. I took an 88-second sample clip from this. 24 seconds were pauses. That means 27% of his airtime was pausing. So if we want to know how fast somebody's speaking, we need to look at something else, and it's called articulatory rate. This is syllables per second factoring out the pauses. And this is where it gets interesting, because if we measure those, Gladwell is at 4.52 syllables per second, and Obama is 4.16. So Obama's actually not talking that slow.
Well, I don't think it's that puzzling. The mythology of America about us breaking away from the crown, declaring our independence, all men are created equal. There's a whole narrative about who we are as Americans.
It's the pauses that most shape his deliberate rhythm. This is important nuance for coaching, because if you were to tell somebody to slow down, are you saying slow down my rate of speech? Or do I need to slow down my pace with more pauses? They're completely different in speaking. But there's a third element, and this is the one that is most contoured and nuanced. You can actually play with this the most throughout your speech, which is phrasing. And with rhythm within phrasing, it's stress. Where are we emphasizing key points? It will change the rhythm and also add more variety and dynamics to the overall message. Now, if we listen to just Gladwell, just listen to this.
Reconstruction is the great forgotten era in American history. And I'm still puzzled as to why.
So he leans into forgotten, right? He slows that down, and then he adds a slight pause. He uses the pause as a stress marker. This is so helpful. If you are a fast talker, I don't ever coach somebody to slow down anymore because you'll lose your energy. You're going to lose your natural rhythm that makes you authentic. You'll sound robotic. Instead, lean into key words. It will slow you down without compromising your natural rate. But on the flip side, if we look at Obama, he needs the syllable stress for a different reason. So listen to his.
The reason Reconstruction is such a fascinating story is here's a moment in which this idea of perfecting the Union is attempted in a fairly significant way.
So for him, a more measured speaker, the emphasis gives him energy and it gives rhetorical gravitas, which is in line with his kind of signature style, right? So we want to work with our natural rhythm, and the emphasis allows us to be more specific with where we lean in and how we shape the rhythm of our speaking. Okay, so no matter the style of your speaker, those are the three things that I'm going to be looking at: the overall pace, the articulatory rate, and the stress. Where are you stressing? And that's always going to be relative to the message and the tone of the room. Okay, so I started this episode by citing or referencing research that faster speakers are associated with higher rates of credibility, even persuasion. I'll link the research. It doesn't mean you should talk faster if you want to be persuasive. What I think this means, what it suggests and what it points to is when we see somebody who is a master at what they do and it's a physical craft and they can do it quickly, we are in awe. We forget that speaking is physical. So when somebody can take technical information and speak to it quickly without hesitation, we perceive that they really know what they're doing. My favorite cinematic example of this is My Cousin Vinny, Marissa Tomei, as the one and only Mona Lisa Vito. I'll leave you with her courtroom monologue. She's speaking at 176 words per minute. Notice her clear breaks between what we call runs of speech and how articulately clear she is with the emphasis of exactly the right word. Enjoy. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time.
Can you answer the question?
No, it is a trick question.
Why is it a trick question?
Watch this.
Because Chevy didn't make a 327 in 55. The 327 didn't come out till 62. And it wasn't offered in the Bel Air with a 4-barrel carb till 64. However, in 1964, the correct ignition timing would be 4 degrees before top dead center.
Well, she's acceptable, Your Honor.